can trust me. I'm not going to give you any, I'm not going to mislead you. You know, I'm a lawman.
But they're going to have this fight, Chris.
No, they're not.
Well,
no, hold on. I'm not going to discuss that with you because I've just said the fight doesn't happen.
Nobody seems to mention it is also a factor. Conor Benn being the younger man at his prime, yeah?
I don't know if I would say unhealthy. I mean, he was extremely strict.
Chris Eubank Sr. has made it clear. He's firmly against proposed fight between his son, Chris Eubank Jr., and fellow British boxer Conor Benn, especially under the originally agreed conditions. His main concern? The contracted catch weight of 157 pounds, a figure significantly below Eubank Jr.'s natural fighting weight. Eubank Sr. has been vocal in stating that he does not, and will not, support his son cutting down to such a low weight, citing serious health risks. As a seasoned former champion, he understands the dangers of extreme weight cutting, especially for a fully grown, physically mature middleweight or super middleweight like Eubank Jr. He believes that forcing his son to make such a cut could lead to severe dehydration, weakened performance, and potentially long-term damage. Risks that simply aren't worth taking for the sake of a high-profile bout.
Yeah. If he's fighting at 168, you know, you go ahead and do what, but you cannot come down to 160. I will not allow that. I will not allow it, or let me rephrase it. May the divine providence not allow that fight to ever happen. Okay, you are to stay at 168, and you know, Matchroom, you know, let Conor go and have his illustrious career here in the United Kingdom and then in the United States, because he beats them all. That's how fantastic I think he is. Yeah, I've always backed that young man. I've always backed you, Conor. I've always backed you. Okay, you're sensible. You know, if it's true that you've said things about me which are not complimentary, I don't mind that.
Chris Eubank Sr. has credited the original cancellation of the fight between Conor Benn and his son, Chris Eubank Jr., to what he calls divine intervention, suggesting that fate, or perhaps a higher power, stepped in to stop a bout that simply wasn't meant to happen. Eubank Sr. has made it clear that he played a pivotal role in shutting down the fight the first time around, acting not just as a father, but as a former world champion with first-hand knowledge of the dangers fighters face. He's vowed to continue speaking out and stepping in if necessary to protect his son's health. While he respects Conor Benn's talent and drive, Eubank Sr. didn't shy away from questioning the motives of those in Benn's inner circle, hinting that financial gain might be prioritized over the young fighter's long-term well-being. At the heart of his message is a firm, unwavering commitment. His son's safety comes first, and if he believes a fight poses serious risk, not just to Chris Jr., but potentially to both men involved, he won't stand by and stay silent.
Okay, you can trust me. Yeah, you've seen me get up in a fight I can't win and walk back into the fire. You can trust me. I'm not going to give you any, I'm not going to mislead you. You know, I'm a lawman.
But they're going to have this fight, Chris.
No, they're not.
Well,
no, hold on. I'm not going to discuss that with you because I've just said the fight doesn't happen.
You can't.
It's finished.
You can't stop it.
Again, I stopped it the first time. But you want me to qualify that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
When the fight was made, I said that fight is not happening. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything again up until the day of the fight, where it was cancelled the day before. So let's do the same thing again. Fine.
Chris Eubank Sr. has always been a commanding presence in his son's life, especially when it comes to Chris Eubank Jr.'s boxing journey. His influence went far beyond teaching technique. It was about discipline, purpose, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. Eubank Sr. shaped his son with a clear vision, instilling a focused mindset and a distinctive style he believed would lead to greatness. Now, as he reflects on the current state of the sport, Eubank Sr. isn't shy about his disappointment. He's critical of promotional culture that prioritizes hype and celebrity over skill and substance. To him, boxing has become more about names and talent, and that shift has impacted not just the sport, but his own son's career. His frustration is evident when he says, "Asterisk, I trained you, I brought you up in this boxing, and I gave you an extraordinary start. Asterisk, he believes Eubank Jr. was blessed with rare natural ability, but that potential has been diluted, particularly since adopting a style influenced by Roy Jones Jr. in Eubank Sr.'s eyes. That change turned his son from something exceptional into something ordinary. For him, this isn't just about one fight. It's about guiding his son back to the foundation that once made him special. Back to the fighter he was meant to be.
Sure. Would the public be interested in such a fight? Unfortunately, because promoters have been constantly rinsing the public with these fights, which actually are about names, not about abilities. So, they would take an interest in this fight. I think it's okay for me to actually say this. I trained you. I brought you up in this boxing. I gave you an extraordinary start. That is based on your ability to box. The style that you had was incredible.
Chris Eubank Jr. has always spoken openly about the complicated dynamic he shares with his father. The legendary Chris Eubank Sr. growing up under the intense watch of a man known for his strict discipline and unwavering expectations. Eubank Jr. often felt the heavy burden of living up to a standard that left little room for individuality. He's revealed how his father's tight grip, particularly during his formative years, shaped his behavior both in and out of the ring. The constant pressure to conform and to meet the high bar set by Eubank Sr. often sparked frustration and rebellion. His struggles in school were, in part, a reflection of that environment, one where self-expression took a back seat to discipline and structure. Still, Eubank Jr. doesn't deny the pivotal role his father played in launching his boxing career and developing his early style. But there's a clear sense of inner conflict when he speaks about his father's continued involvement. Even now, as a grown man and seasoned professional, he feels the echo of his father's influence, especially when Eubank Sr. publicly claims credit for shaping him into the fighter and man he is today. It's a sentiment laced with both gratitude and frustration. While Eubank Jr. respects the foundation his father laid, he also yearns for independence, a chance to step out of the shadow and define his path on his own terms, without the ever-present voice of his father steering the narrative of his life and legacy.
I don't know if I would say unhealthy. I mean, he was extremely strict. I got away with nothing. If I messed up in school, if I didn't do a chore, if I got into a fight with my brothers, there was physical punishment, whether it was a belt, whether it was a cane, whether it was, a slap. Back then, in the 90s, that was how you disciplined your kids. So that is where my fear obviously originated from, having to deal with that. But again, that type of punishment and that type of upbringing, that type of strictness, it made me who I am today. It prepared me for the brutality of the sport of boxing.
Chris Eubank Sr. has never been shy about sharing his views on his son's boxing career, often with a mix of pride and deep frustration. He has long believed that Chris Eubank Jr. had the potential to be one of the sport's all-time greats, but in his eyes, that potential was never fully realized. Looking back, Eubank Sr. expresses disappointment, feeling that his son's career fell short not because of a lack of talent, but because he strayed from the path his father had carefully laid out. He's adamant that if Eubank Jr. had stuck to the training regimen, discipline, and boxing philosophy he was taught, he could have become a dominant, almost unstoppable force in the ring. For Eubank Sr., it's not just about missed titles or lost opportunities. It's about the unfulfilled greatness he once saw in his son. He believed the unique style and strategic foundation he designed were tailor-made for long-term success. But Eubank Jr.'s decision to deviate from that approach, particularly as he adopted other influences, left his father with a lingering sense of what could have been, in his view, the key ingredients for a successful fighter are discipline, faith in one's training, and a willingness to learn from those who've been there before. And to Eubank Sr., these are the very qualities his son failed to fully embrace, ultimately keeping him from reaching the heights he was destined for.